This week on Mitch and Ed's Excellent Adventure.
We're looking at the Muppet Show. Yay!
Yeah! Welcome back to Mitch and Ed's Excellent Adventure. I'm Ed Dollister.
I'm Mitch Halleck.
And thank you so much for watching the show. Thank you to everyone who's, especially our Harrison Ford one. The numbers have been fantastic with that. We've had some great comments from everyone. I can always say, if you like the show, please subscribe and you'll get the latest editions. We do a show every 2 weeks, and we really appreciate your comments in the comment section. So don't forget to do that as well. How have you been, Mitch?
I've been fine and dandy, Ed, and I am so excited to tell the people out there that as we approach the 100 subscriber mark, that sound they're hearing on the show is not feedback. It's the sound of your stomach growling because you're about to eat a 12-year-old breakfast cereal.
I am.
That's right.
Once we get 100 subscribers, we're up to 94 as of this recording. So let's get 100 and I'll eat this. It actually sounds, it's getting fresher as the years go by.
The secret of the crystal skull, Ed.
That's what it is. I've looked into the cereal too much, but that's okay. So if we get 100 subscribers, if we get 1,000, I think we need to lower our goal a little bit.
Really? Okay. If we get
250.
How much?
250.
No. Maybe 500.
500. All right.
500. I will open this vintage Batman 1989 cereal with the Batman Michael Keaton still attached to the bank. I probably go on eBay and pay for my medical bills after they pump my stomach. And I too have cereal that's somehow minty fresh, or somehow it's minty. We don't know.
It probably is.
I will eat this live on camera at 500 subscribers. It's worth the price of sacrifice.
That's worth the price of admission alone. So if you're interested, certainly subscribe. This episode, we're going to be talking about one of my favorite television shows of all time, The Muppets. And we're doing this, one, because, I love The Muppets, but also because on Disney Plus debuting in the next few days is the new Muppets Now show, which is, I suppose, the newest incarnation of The Muppets, which is an improvised show. I think there's only 6 or 7 episodes, but anything Muppets is, I think worth watching, and it's going to be great to see some new content from Kermit, Miss Piggy, and the gang. When did you first discover the Muppets, Mitch?
I can't stand the Muppets.
What?
Sorry. Flashback to early 70s. I'm a small child. I'm watching the Andy Williams Christmas special. My sisters, Debbie and Kim, that are older than me, told me, stay up and watch this. The Muppets are going to be on. Now, as a kid, I knew the Muppets from Sesame Street, and I was all fine with that. That was Oscar the Grouch and Bert and Ernie and Big Bird, and they were fine. They were my friends. I would watch them after school, and they would teach me how to count and the spelling and all that stuff. But Ed, something happened on that Andy Williams show that sent me into years of nightmares. There's a life-size Muppet. I don't know what its name is, but I believe it was like played by maybe Jim Henson himself. And they had this song and dance thing where they had this giant, I don't know what it was. It was like a monster. And he looked like the animal guy, the one with the crazy hair. But it was a person. It was definitely a person in a suit. Who?
Like Sweetums?
That's it. What is it called?
Sweetums.
Sweetums. That's the one I'm afraid of. That thing, Ed, I'm sorry. I had nightmares. I was like 3 or 4 years old, or maybe 5, maybe 4, maybe 20. But anyway, that Sweetums thing came on, and I was behind the couch hiding from it because I just imagined this massive 6-7 foot monstrous thing, and I couldn't stand the Muppets after that. And because of that, it's like Indiana Jones with the snakes. I was
Well,
deathly afraid of those things.
well, in the tradition of Dr. Phil, guess who's behind you? Turn around. We've got Sweetums coming in.
God, don't do that. I actually looked.
Now, have you
No,
done Muppet Vision 3D? Because
I
Sweetums is
did.
the
I did.
actual live character who actually comes into the audience.
I know, Ed, and thank God I hear that Disney's getting rid of that. Thank God. I can't stand. No, seriously, I couldn't stand it. And then when the Muppet Show started, I was like, okay. And the only one I ever watched, I actually own it on video, but I only watched it once, was the Mark Hamill episode, because he was playing Luke Skywalker, who was Mark Hamill's cousin. And
Yes.
that was it. But no, I mean, I know you love the Muppets, and we've talked about this, but I have very few items in this house that are Muppet related because I can't take it.
Well, think of it's always good to face your fears. So consider this as a group therapy session then. How about that?
That's what bothered me about Return of the Jedi. It was just so many Muppets. I was like under the seat, like, oh my God, there's too many of them. And Dark Crystal, never sat through it.
Really? Okay. Well, we've got a lot of therapy to go through. This will obviously be a little bit of a shorter show then, but that's okay. Anything Muppets is good, and if we can
go ahead, Ed, go on with your delight in that.
Well, you know, Jim Henson created Kermit, and he first appeared on a show back in 1955 called Sam and Friends, where Kermit sort of looked a little bit different as we know and love him today. And progressed onto in fact, what I will say is, if you're interested in the life of Jim Henson, Sesame Street and the Muppets, there's this fantastic biography, Jim Henson the Biography by Brian J. Jones. He did the biography of George Lucas as well.
Oh,
and
I just read that.
Yeah, it's great. It's a really good read. So I certainly can recommend that. And
now, did he go to the University of Maryland? Because I think I sent that to you. My son Owen goes there, and right behind the student center, there's a bench and there's a statue of Jim Henson sitting there with Kermit the Frog on his knee or on his shoulder, and it just says Jim Henson. And I was like, why is this here? And I assume he went to the University of Maryland or something like that.
Well, you can certainly look. More so than listening to me just spout random facts, I'd recommend reading that book if you're interested into the life of Jim Henson. He's crossed over, certainly, as you know, if you're a Star Wars fan, Indiana Jones, everything is, you know, George Lucas is all intermingled with the genius of Jim Henson. And essentially after Sesame Street, which was doing fantastic start in 1969. He was putting forward wanting to do a show, a variety show. I think now I should remember this. The original pilot for the Muppet Show was called Sex and Violence, I think. I'll put it underneath.
They were on the Saturday Night Live show when I was a kid in 1975. I don't know if you've ever seen those over there, but the first year of Saturday Night Live with John Belushi and Chevy Chase, the Muppets were on there for some odd reason, but they weren't Kermit and Miss Piggy and all that. It was just a weird set of, they looked like rocks or something. Like it was like a caveman type of thing. And there was a volcano, and I don't know, but there was a Jim Henson's every week. The Muppets were on Saturday.
Yeah,
night.
they did little segments. They did on a number of like talk shows, little sketches and things like that. And that's where their popularity grew. And they went to
because I never got the idea why they were building up to that. So.
Well, Jim Henson was working on he did like dog food commercials and things like that.
Yeah,
with his Muppets, which of course was his his take on puppets. And
can I ask a silly question? Was it, how many people worked for him? It was just him initially with Kermit, but when they started doing when did Frank Oz and the rest, because it wasn't always, was it just Jim Henson? Was he all the Muppets in the earlier stage?
It wasn't. It was him and his wife, and then he did have a group of people where he would hire people or people that he was interested in working with, and then would bring them together. And that's when I suppose you got like the Dave Goelz, Frank Oz, and those Muppet performers.
But Carol Spinney, who was Oscar in Big Bird, that he doesn't really count. Was he?
Well, he's still. Well, I suppose he was certainly integral in the creation of those characters and during Sesame Street.
Sesame Street, yeah.
I love Sesame Street as well. My first memory of color television is Bert and Ernie. I can picture it in my mind, seeing Bert and Ernie on our TV. He wanted to go away from Sesame Street a little bit and create this, create his own show. And he pitched all these ideas about the Muppet Show. No one really took it on. They weren't interested, apart from Sir Lou Grade from the UK.
Oh, that's why they filmed it in London?
Yes.
Or England?
Yes.
I always thought it was like a budgetary thing, like maybe it was cheaper or something. I didn't know why they went there.
So they went there, the Muppet Show, and it was a huge hit. After the first few episodes, they had celebrities clamoring to come on as guests. It was at the Muppet Theatre. It was a variety show run by Kermit. Everyone knows the Muppet Show. You had the classics: Fozzie Bear, Miss Piggy, of course, Gonzo. There's too many
rats.
Muppet.
There was always rats, and then there was the Beaker.
Bunsen Honeydew. You had there's so many wonderful Muppets, so many wonderful sketches. And I, as a kid, as a 6 and 7 year old kid watching that, I don't know what it was, but I think the combination of their irreverence of the characters and the writing, I thought was always spot on. It was funny. It was stupid.
Now was Jim Henson writing this stuff too?
Not all of it. They had a number. Jerry Jewell. They had a number of amazing writers on the show, but just something about that humor clicked with me, and I just love those characters, and particularly Kermit, who was trying to hold everything together.
Yeah.
And
when did the Muppet movie come out? Like 78,
79. So the Muppet movie came out. It was huge.
I remember that. Kermit was riding a bicycle with his actual legs.
Yes.
That's the stuff of nightmares. That's what I was telling you about, because it wasn't a guy with his hand up someone's butt. It was a thing that had legs now. It was mobile and it could move. So I'm like, oh my God.
They're not like velociraptors who can open doors. It's all right.
Can I ask you, how do they do? It's probably a very simple stunt. It's probably like a remote control bike or something. How do they do that?
It's essentially a marionette. So they had him on wires that wouldn't, you couldn't pick up. It's very clever, very clever.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Muppet movie came out in 1979.
Go back, because you're the expert on all this.
Oh, I wouldn't look. I just love it, but not an expert.
No. But Ralph the dog, I remember him from being on Andy Williams' show, because he would sing along with Andy Williams. Was that Jim Henson?
Yes.
Okay. So Ralph's there, but when they do the Muppet Show, the only ones I knew, even though I wasn't watching it every week, because it ran here every Saturday night at 7:30. It was a syndicated show. But I just knew Kermit the Frog from Sesame Street.
Yes.
I'm gonna say Sam the Eagle was on Sesame Street once or twice, but
possibly
the people like the Count weren't there. These were all new characters. Like, where does he come up with Miss Piggy? Where does he come up with Fozzie Bear? What are the origins of those? Were they supposed to be like takeoffs of Mae West or? Not
necessarily, just from the creation of Jim Henson's creative genius, and again working with the puppeteers,
But they weren't modeled after anybody famous. That's what I'm saying.
Not that I'm aware of. Not that I'm aware of.
Dr. Tooth. Who's the band guy? Dr. Tooth.
Hang on. Here we go. Dr. Teeth.
Dr. Teeth.
And the Electric Mayhem.
There was a guy named Dr. John who was a piano player.
Yeah. I just sat on my cereal. Sorry.
Well, there goes that, No, but I'm saying sometimes I thought those were based on real people. Like, I thought Animal, the drummer, I thought he was supposed to be like, was it Keith Moon from?
I think there's elements, obviously Janis is a little Janis Joplin-y.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. I would see like who they were based on. Like, oh, that's supposed to be Milton Berle as Fozzie Bear and Mae West as
I
Miss
think
Piggy.
there's probably elements of, certainly you've got Floyd in the band. You've got I'll put up pictures of Electric Mayhem.
Yeah, no, so so they were inspired then by
I think
real
they were
people.
all inspired. I mean, the ultimate inspiration is this one where I've got this is from my we'll
What's
talk a
that?
little bit about merchandise, but from Palisades Entertainment from the early 2000s. This is the representation of Jim Henson as a Muppet.
Oh,
So there, hang on, I'll spin him around. There he is.
yeah.
See if we can. Is that?
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
Now, was that in front of the movies, or someone just made that as a one?
No, that's him from one of the Muppet episodes.
Oh, he was on as a puppet?
Yeah, he played as
What? That's another thing too. What's the difference between a puppet and a Muppet? Trademark?
Yeah, your lawyers will be in touch, sort of thing.
No, is that all it is? He just came up with a new word?
Essentially, yeah. That was his take on Muppets, and
it would be like someone calling a Terrific Comic Con Terrific Con. They just made up a word.
That's right.
They trademarked it.
That pretty much it. Nice.
That's what happened. I created a new word when that happened. But anyway, so the Muppets didn't mean anything. It didn't mean like mobile puppet or something. I don't.
No, there was the mobile Muppet Labs, which they had at Walt Disney World, which was an interactive Beaker and Bunsen Honeydew interactive exhibit that would actually travel around. Now, was that there or was that at Hong Kong Disneyland? I can't remember where I
never
saw it.
I went to Disney World here in Florida. I went to that 3D Muppet Vision thing, but I don't remember any.
No, this was later on when they were looking at sort of these interactive alive exhibits that would roam around the parks and you could interact with them. And it was
no, I never.
It was fantastic.
Really?
Yeah, it was it was amazing. It was like when I went to. I mean, you talk about Muppet Vision 3D, which is hilarious. And it is like
great when they shot who's the little guy Gonzo. They shot him out of the cannon and he lands behind you and his feet
and you
are
turn behind him and you can see his
legs. No, that was a great surprise. That was fun. I mean, as much as I feared the Muppets, that was a fun little show.
I always like Fozzie, going, I'm not going to resort to any cheap 3D tricks, and then started to do all the
with the watch or the yo-yo.
Actually, on a side note, it always bugs me. When people we were talking about 3D movies earlier, and people are always going, oh, I hate these cheap 3D tricks. But why wouldn't you do that? It's a 3D movie. You want things.
The first 3D movie I ever saw was, I think, I don't know, some kind of Murder the Gorilla or whatever. And it's with Vincent Price, I think, or something in a wax museum. And it was a big deal because they advertised that it was going to be on television.
Yes.
And it was syndicated. And my dad had told me what a 3D movie was because I never saw one of these. I got to say it's the early 80s. So you would go to the 7-Eleven, which is like a convenience store.
Yeah, we've got them here too.
You would buy 3D glasses. They had the red and the green. So when they televised it, one, you had to have a color TV. And two, you watched it and you put it on. And this movie's about this murder that happens and there's a gorilla involved. And I'm going to say the murder at Rue Morgue. I think that's the name of it. But there's a guy who's like a street vendor in the movie. And he's like, come on out here and get your yo-yos and your whatever. And he's whipping out these yo-yos that come at the screen like that. And that's the whole gag behind the 3D vision stuff. So it's like, of course you're going to have things flying out at the screen because that's why it's there. I mean, the three-dimensional part of it, but
I agree. And I think Muppet Vision 3D uses that so well. It's well written. The theme of the room is amazing. When you go in the waiting room, I always love there's all the crates full of Jell-O that are sitting in this net above the ceiling, and that's a net full of Jell-O. A net full of Jell-O.
See, I never got that. And then it starts off with the two guys, Statler
and Waldorf.
Those were hotels in New York.
Yes.
That's the Waldorf Hotel and the Statler Hotel, and they were the old cranky guys up in the balcony, and that's how the Muppet thing started. Remember, like the curtain would open and they'd be up there. What are these guys all doing here? I don't know. They're all waiting for something. Oh, they're gonna regret this.
That was pretty good. That was pretty good.
As much as I fear them, I have a secret Muppet voice thing. I could do Kermit the Frog too, but maybe.
Okay, let's see you. Come on.
No.
Ah,
Hey everybody, it's how you doing? No, that's a little deeper though.
that was good. Anyway,
Hey.
so
Yeah, it was pretty well. You asked for it.
that I
could do
did.
it.
You
I could
asked
do it.
for it.
I could do it. Yeah. No, you wanted to see it.
Oh, that's right.
The human sacrifice right here in front of Arnold's store because you wanted to see it.
So
Hey everybody.
there you go. See, there's
Now he sounds like Pee Wee Herman.
yeah,
So.
that it did a little bit, but that's okay with a frog in his throat. So
Yeah.
So yeah, Muppet
Anyway,
Movie.
we're watching the wait. So the show is on.
Yep.
And what are we talking here? 1977, 78? What year is that?
76, as I drink from my
76. Really? It started that year early?
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know that. So it runs from 76 to what? 80?
81. It
Really?
ran for
That
5
many
years. 5 years.
Okay. So they take a break and they do. Now I've seen background footage where they do test footage of like Fozzie and Kermit out in the woods or something in a tree, and they're talking just how they're going to pull this off. So where does the idea to come to make a full length motion picture? How does that happen?
It's the Muppet Show is so popular. It's in syndication. I wouldn't say Muppet Mania, but there's Muppets everything. And they felt like, how can we expand the characters and put them into the real world?
Yeah.
Because one thing that you see on the Muppet Show, for me, is that you believe that they're real
actors.
Yeah, they're characters, and it's not only when Muppets are talking to each other, but when their celebrity guests would come on, they're treating them as real. It's like on Sesame Street when they always had, Kermit talking to a young boy or girl. They believed that they were real, and that's what I think. They wanted to see what are the Muppets like in the real world, and that's where we got the Muppet Movie. It was a huge success. That amazing song Rainbow Connection.
Paul Williams.
Yes, good old Paul Williams. And then after that came The Great Muppet Caper in 1981.
But that wasn't a big hit.
It wasn't as big a hit as the Muppet Movie. And then in 1980, I'm going to say 1984, came out The Muppets Take Manhattan, which is
okay. Was that with Charles Grodin? Miss Piggy? Didn't they have a dance number in that one?
That's when Kermit loses his memory. And they're going to it's Charles. I know Gregory Hines is in that one.
Okay. I just remember Charles Grodin, who was like an 80s guy actor.
Yes.
And he had something going on with like a love scene with Miss Piggy.
I think that might have been in that. I'm trying to think. There was also Joan. My gosh.
Joan Van Ark?
No, not Joan Van Ark.
Joan Collins?
No.
Joan Embry?
The comedian.
My mom, Joan? That's her name.
I am
Joan Rivers.
Joan Rivers. Yes, with her as the makeup person at the
I've never seen it. I just know bits and pieces of it.
It's fantastic. And one thing I love about that is about the Muppets Take Manhattan is that there's a scene set in Sardi's in New York at the restaurant.
The famous restaurant, with all the celebrities. Yeah.
And Rizzo the Rat and Kermit, they infiltrate. They're under all the tables, and they put up a special picture of Kermit as one in the style of as a great Broadway producer. And I was so excited when Kelly and I first went to Sardi's.
Was it there?
You go upstairs. It's funny. Everyone's sitting downstairs. You go upstairs to the restrooms. Yeah. And there's a whole nother level. And there it is. The actual
that's the photo.
one. And every time I go, I've been lucky enough to go a few times to Sardi's. I always take a photo of it because it's just cool. And I'm thinking, this is where it was. It's great. You need to watch The Muppets Take Manhattan. Unfortunately, that's not on Disney Plus.
What's that?
There's that's in a deal with I think Sony Pictures. They've got Muppets Take Manhattan, Kermit.
What about that Treasure Island one they made?
That's I think on.
Is it Treasure Island?
Plus. Yeah, with Tim Curry.
And then they did one about the Christmas Carol, right? See, I know the movies.
Yeah.
Now, when is that? In the 80s too?
That was was the Muppet Christmas Carol 1992? Okay. I think.
And then there's another big thing that everyone liked, and I guess it's Muppets. It's some type of like beaver band or something, like a Christmas thing.
Oh, the
This little
otters,
otter.
the otter jug band,
All right, but
like a limited
doesn't that have Kermit's little cousin or something in it? His little brother. There's like a
Robin,
little Kermit.
little
Is
Robin.
he? He's in that otter thing,
I
or am
don't.
I getting them mixed up?
I think you might be getting that mixed up. I'll
When
fact
did they
check
bring?
us.
When
So
did they bring him out? You're going to see it on the bottom. Ed's going to have it.
yeah,
When
well,
did that little Robin guy come out? Was he part of the movie?
Robin was in the Muppet Show. I don't know the exact. I
Oh,
can't
I
remember.
thought it was Scooter was in the Muppet Show.
Oh, Scooter's there as well. Scooter
Okay.
was the PA
He's
who
like
would
the
sort of
little
like the
gopher.
stage manager of
Yeah,
the gopher for
Yeah,
the
gopher.
Muppet Show. So
All right.
I mean, there are so many fantastic characters. There was so many great movies and just television specials and guests on the Muppet Show. Sylvester Stallone. You mentioned Mark Hamill.
Oh no, I remember they would be on, 'cause the ads would come up. Like I would go to watch at the movies or sneak previews with Siskel and Ebert, and that was the Saturday night show. And on the same channel, they go, coming up after Siskel and Ebert, it's the newest episode of the Muppet Show, and they would show like a scene this week. It's Sylvester and Margaret or Raquel Welch. It was a lot of that stuff, a lot of '80s celebrities.
Yeah, they were fantastic. And what I loved is you got to see actors in a different in a different way. Sylvester Stallone singing, you wouldn't see. Mark Hamill doing
Hamill, that's the one I have, and Chewbacca does a dance in that one.
Yes.
If I remember.
And it's a shame because Disney have released the first 3 seasons on DVD of the Muppet Show, but there's 2 seasons left. And the only
Mark Hamill's in that. I have that one.
And the only way to get them is on VHS.
Yeah, I have the VHS with Mark Hamill, but I haven't seen it in like 20 years.
Yep. So there's that one's got Mark Hamill. It's got I think Paul Simon, and it's got Raquel Welch on this one.
Raquel Welch. Wow. She just turned 79 the other day.
Wow. So so one thing.
Okay, so but now go back now. Don't they start having money problems? Doesn't like Henson sell the studio to Disney?
He was looking at some point, he after the Muppet Show, during the Muppet Show, he had ideas for doing other projects.
When does the Dark Crystal come in?
Dark Crystal was 1982, which he put his blood, sweat, and tears into, and unfortunately was not a.
Now, is Lucas involved in that? George Lucas?
George Lucas was involved in Labyrinth. So he was with.
Wait, he was?
That was I'm sure he was a co-producer on Labyrinth.
Wait, and that's a Jim Henson thing too?
Yes. So with David Bowie, Jennifer Connelly.
Yeah, I know Jennifer Connelly was in it. Wow.
Yeah.
But what did he do in that? Was there I'm trying to remember. Labyrinth, was there big? No, he's the Goblin King, right? That's
David Bowie. That's correct. So
was there a lot of Muppets in there too?
There was a combination Muppets, full-size characters, things like that. That was very scary as well.
Yeah, I think that's what the deal was. I was like, is it supposed to be for kids? Maybe that's why they had trouble selling these things, because you got kids that are growing up on the Muppets, and suddenly they're in this. It's PG-13 or PG. It was PG. There was no PG-13 in '82. So it seemed, wasn't that like a dark movie? That wasn't rated G.
It was a Dark Crystal movie. It certainly was. It was pretty dark. And if you've watched, you haven't watched, but there's
a sequel I know on Netflix, but I was
is fantastic, but it is very dark. And I was actually watching Time Bandits yesterday. Which was essentially a kids movie from 1982.
I like Time Bandits, yeah.
But that's very dark as well.
But that's the Monty Python guys and stuff. So yeah.
It just feels like there's,
go back to the Muppets. Were they? One of the other things I had a problem with is they're not on film, are they? They're on tape.
They were on the
tape.
Episodes were on tape, yes.
Yeah, because there's always that weird, like a soap opera here in the States. Like you'd watch a television show and that's filmed, but then you'd watch like a stage production type of thing, like a soap opera. And because it's done with maybe 2 cameras or something, and it's just one set, the lighting's different, and it comes across as almost like phony. I don't mean like fake, because obviously it's all fake, but it doesn't have that cinematic quality to it. And like when you'd watch Sesame Street, it was filmed just like that because it was like on tape or whatever because they're puppets. Maybe that's why I didn't really care for it. And then when you go to see these movies, it's a film now. So now that adds like a whole other production level to it. So it's like,
Yes.
oh, it's more sophisticated now. But it's still this little guy with his hand doing this, you know. Hey,
You
how
got
you
to
doing?
believe, Mitch. You got to believe.
I don't know.
And
I just never got the magic of it.
that's all right. You can't look. If we all like the same
But I like
things,
Yoda.
you know,
Yoda's essentially a Muppet.
he is.
Yeah, I mean, he's just a very advanced Muppet, but he's still a puppet. But he's still got Frank Oz with the thumb, which I told you I figured out tonight why Yoda's little chin looks like that. That's because that's Frank Oz's thumb, probably
It could
making the
be.
mouth move.
It
I
could
think it
be.
is, isn't it? It's just two rods.
It's-
That always
it's-
bothered me too. Those little rods that would control the arm, because I'm like, I'm not supposed to see that.
Well, they obviously digitally removed that in later.
Oh, they
episode-
have?
Well, in shows like in certainly the movies, often they would do that. Not
Oh, I
obviously
didn't know that.
not the earlier ones. Obviously, they didn't digitally remove it, but there's the series The Muppets on from 2005 that was on ABC.
Oh, they don't have that anymore. No.
Don't see that. Certainly in the later movies, there was the I wouldn't say the reboot, but there was the Muppets in with Amy Adams and Jason Segel, yeah, who
Segel.
wrote it,
No,
created it. The music by Yep.
Wait, you jumped a whole pile of stuff there, Ed.
Well, we're trying to get through this.
No.
quickly.
Do you what when? Okay, so wait, they do the Muppet thing, they do the Manhattan one, which I have I do have the Marvel comic book of that. I have a comic book of that.
Yep.
So when do they start getting into the Muppet Babies? Because I had a guy at my show called Guy Gilchrist, who's from Connecticut, hugely popular at the show last year. He had a line that never stopped, and it was all Muppet Baby stuff. And so much so, my niece Emily and my nephew Elliot were in love with this guy. They were like, I was watching full-grown men, police officers, standing there like little kids as he drew various Muppet Baby characters, and people were just like, "Oh my God, that's the Muppet Babies!" Now that was a cartoon show. I remember that, but is that in the mid '80s or so?
Yeah, that would have been about 1984. It started off where you first saw the Muppet Babies as a flashback sequence in the Muppets Take Manhattan.
Oh, okay.
So they were live action.
Yeah.
And then the cool thing, I used to love the Muppet Babies TV show, the animated one, because they used to have the kids pretending to play or whatever, and there was a scene with the boulder scene from Raiders Lost Ark,
really?
live action.
Yeah,
they'd have the Star Wars. They'd have all these fantastic little remembrances of those kids. Keying into.
And how long did that last?
That ran for a few years, and then they've just done a last year. I think they've done a computer generated version of the Muppet Babies, which is also on Disney Plus as well.
No, but okay. And so when does Disney get involved with him? Because I'm saying when I went to the Disney World in 1992, they already had the Muppet 3D movie. So when does he start working with?
So even Disney? from now, I'm going to look at this because I don't want to get any
the wrong information.
Yeah, the wrong information.
Well, I'm going to guess it's around the same time Lucas started doing Captain EO, which was like late 80s or so with Michael Jackson and all that stuff. Did Michael Jackson do something with the Muppets? I keep remembering he was involved somehow, wasn't he?
Yeah, so there was talks in the late 80s about Disney acquiring it. Unfortunately, Jim Henson passed away in 19.
Yeah, I remember that. It was like in the middle of the week. I was at work. I'm going to say 91?
90.
Was it 90? Yeah, it was early. And I remember I'm going to say Alex Haley, who was the writer of Roots, died. Or maybe Sammy Davis Jr. There was some other big celebrity that died the same day because the USA Today, which was a popular newspaper back then, they had that on the headline. And it said Hollywood loses two legends or something like that. And there was a Jim Henson drawing with Kermit. And I'm going to have to look it up and maybe you could check the thing. But maybe it's Sammy Davis Jr. There was some other big icon that passed away the same day. But Henson was weird because he just got sick and he had what they call galloping pneumonia. He went into the hospital like on a Sunday. And by Wednesday or Tuesday, he passed away because his lungs had just filled with fluid. They couldn't do anything for him. It was too far gone.
Mm.
And that was all she wrote. I mean, he was 52, maybe.
He
He wasn't that old.
He was very young, actually. So
Yeah, I'm gonna say early 50s, if I recall.
he was born in 36, so he died 53. He was.
Yeah, see, yeah, my dad was born in 36, so I remember that being a shocker. And yeah, that was like, what do you do now? Because he was the voice behind all of them. And then I believe his son Brian Henson took over for Kermit and supplied the voice for a while.
Well, Brian Henson was involved for a while. They had Steve Whitmire, who was working alongside Jim Henson for many years. He pretty much took on Kermit for up until maybe 5 or 6 years ago. They've had a variety of voices that still capture the spirit of Kermit and Jim Henson. But I remember I was at university actually listening on my Walkman, and the news came on, and I remember hearing that, and I was gobsmacked because
devastated.
Because it was not like he was, as you said, it was
it was like out of the blue. It'd be if George Lucas had passed away, I'd be like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. So but what an amazing legacy Jim Henson has left. That is still going on today. We've said that.
But okay, so after that all happens, how long is it before we actually see a Muppet movie or a TV show after he passes away?
There was, I do remember there was that amazing tribute that they showed in memoriam with
the Oscars.
Yes, well, there was they did a special with Jim Henson, and all the Muppets were on stage. I remember, which was absolutely. Devastating. Watching it. I do remember. Let me just check here to see when, because I know that they had Muppets in Space was 1999.
Jim Henson passed away. I remember. Yeah, but that one is that one with the big bear, the big Russian bear or something. That big
the security bear who
with the sleepy eyes.
Yeah, he's still around. He's
one of the ones that scared me. Any of the bigger ones are really the ones I was frightened of because they look like they could take you out.
Yeah.
You don't want to be eaten by a Muppet.
No. A Muppet Christmas Carol did come in 1992. So that would have been the...
Oh, okay. I remember that one.
Yeah. And that was with Michael Caine. That had also had Gonzo taking a lead as the narrator. Robin in it. It had all the Muppets. It was was very good, and that was quite popular. And
when was Treasure Island?
Muppet Treasure Island was 1996, I think.
No, that's what I'm telling you. Now I do remember some of these were not hits.
No, they weren't. Look, the thing is, they weren't as.
I'm not sitting there. I'm not trying to call them out no. He struck out. But when you do a show like a Muppets or a Lucasfilm, when you put so much special effects in it, and everybody knows. It's not like just putting a camera in the backyard and filming a scene. There's a lot of pre-production work into these things. So if you have all that sets and puppets and, whatever effects, and it doesn't work, the first thing you want to ask is like, well, was there a good story to begin with? I mean, what was the rush on this thing? Because you did well with your Muppets movie and your Muppets Take Manhattan and maybe the Christmas Carol. So what happened with this particular one that just didn't work? I mean, why didn't people want to see it?
Yeah, I think Muppets from Space, the script was, lacking somewhat. Maybe just timing also with everything.
Was it just too much of them? There was
quite a bit of a gap. There was a few years gap between the last, Muppets Christmas
Is it
Carol.
because Henson wasn't there anymore?
Look, it could be, but I think that spirit of, there was still enough.
Yeah.
People do love the Muppets and they're genuinely fond of them. But I do wonder if, people just, sort of, there was a point where, maybe people forgot about them a little bit. It's when they're
like Star Wars.
Like when they don't have a weekly TV series. They did have, can't remember the year, but they had a viral video come out when the Muppets did Bohemian Rhapsody, which had, millions and millions of views, and that sort of brought them back. Then of course, the Jason Segel led
we said that one.
Which rejuvenated them. Then they had the Muppets Most Wanted, which came out a few years later, which just
is that the one with the evil like Kermit thing?
Yes, with Constantine, I think,
with Tina Fey in it.
Yes, and Ricky Gervais.
Yeah, I think we saw that on cable TV, maybe.
Okay. See, I thought that was really good fun as
That
well.
was clever because I like Tina Fey, and I'm like,
Yes.
oh, that's cute. And
I
they
just
had a little
felt-
mole.
I feel like in watching the Muppets TV show that came out in 1985, we also skipped over the Muppets Tonight, which was another
What was
variety
that?
show. That was sort of like them running a cable or like a TV.
Oh, they had
show.
another show?
Yeah, that was in the 90s.
Oh, wait a minute. No, wait. You said 85. You mean 95.
What did I say?
You said 1985. I'm like, they did.
Oh yeah,
another
95. Sorry, yeah, in the 90s.
show? So 95. I didn't know they came back with another TV show.
Yeah, so that was in that ran for like 1 or 2 seasons, but it wasn't really successful. The Muppets, the show on ABC, which was a bit like the Muppets Meet The Office.
That wasn't good at all.
So I missed that. It didn't show here in Australia.
Oh, really? I know
Yeah.
it bombed here. I don't think it lasted for like 10 weeks or so.
Well, they had it ran a season. It's on Disney Plus, and you know what? Watching it wasn't too bad, but I feel like they went the other side of PG a little bit. And
there was something about Kermit and Miss Piggy, wasn't it, like getting raised eyebrows or something like that? Or?
Yeah, and Fozzie the Bear was dating a human, and things like that.
It wasn't wholesome family entertainment.
It wasn't it wasn't an R-rated comedy or anything like that, but it was enough
an adult thing.
I think so. Maybe that's why it didn't work. Because production-wise, it was fantastic. The Muppet performers. I did read an article saying that the Muppet performers weren't given enough, like maybe input in the script, or to create the characters. And I suppose that brings us now to the new limited season run of Muppets Now, which starts soon on the Muppets, which is an improvised TV show, which is essentially getting those Muppet performers and the Muppets to do what they do best, interact with people.
It's an improv show, so it's like
unscripted.
Really?
Yeah, apparently.
Really? So people are going to be in a improv, like a comedy troupe, and they're going to yell out.
I think
Doctor
they just
walks into a farm and he just found out.
And I need an object. Okay, a hairbrush.
Exactly. A Sharpie marker, a gynecologist, and a milkman. Do it.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't think it's exactly like that, but it's unscripted. So I think that will give an opportunity for the performers to shine and the Muppets to shine as well. Which
I might give it a shot again.
I think you should.
I'll take my Valium or whatever it is to calm my nerves, and I will sit there and I will attempt. If I was going to go back today, knowing that I can't get the Muppet Show on Disney Plus or wherever, maybe it's on YouTube. What would you start with? Would you sit through the way they came out, the Muppet movie, and which one would you avoid?
I would watch select episodes of the Muppet Show. So especially rewatch the one with Mark Hamill, Sylvester Stallone, Christopher Reeve. I suppose the ones that connect, the Harry Belafonte one, Vincent Price. They're all they're great. Mm-hmm. And they're only
which movies? Which movies?
Muppet Movie. For sure. Muppets Take Manhattan. Yeah. Muppets, The Great Muppet Caper is okay. So that you may as well watch all 3 of those. Then I would probably skip to the Jason Segel Muppets and the Muppets Take Manhattan. You can watch, I would recommend watching A Christmas Carol at Christmas is pretty good. And Muppet Treasure Island is quite fun as well. So I'd do that.
And you watched the Tina Fey one. You skipped over that.
Oh yeah, well that's the Muppets and the Muppets Most Wanted. I sort of watch them as a double. You may as well. They're really good, and you can't go wrong if you want to listen to some music. The Muppet Show cast recording is great. There's also
what's that now?
So what's that?
What is the Muppets cast?
Oh, so it's basically it's sort of like the Muppet Show but on record, which is really good. I've got it hanging on the wall in the other room. That's really good. The John Denver Christmas albums with the Muppets is really good as well. So I'd recommend those. And I'm sure it's on YouTube. There would be the Muppets the Muppets 3D, Muppet Vision 3D. that
Oh, you can watch the Disney thing?
Oh, and the other thing is, I've got to say,
What?
when I was at Disneyland in 2017, I was so excited to see the Muppets, great moments in history with the Muppets, which was a live show. And basically it showed great moments in American history. So it had like, I think, look, I'm
Declaration of Independence.
It had that. It had, I think, maybe not Paul Revere, the ride of Paul Revere, but there was 4 different shows that went for 20 minutes, and it had the actual Muppets. And apart from seeing them at the Smithsonian, I felt like I had seen the Muppets live. It was amazing. They don't do it anymore.
Was it a live performance?
Yes.
Oh, I thought it was like videotape or a movie. No,
it was live. You had Sam Eagle. You had Kermit. You had Fozzie. You had Miss Piggy.
Oh, I never heard about that. No,
it was hilarious. So they had a human facilitator, and all the Muppets were up there in Liberty Square or whatever it's called.
Liberty Square. See, this is Disney World. I didn't think they had that in Disneyland, because
I'm sure it was at Disneyland. I'm pretty sure, but I look, it was a while ago.
No, I've only been there like 2 or 3 times. I don't remember all this. So
that was fantastic. So if you get a chance to watch that online, I'd recommend it. And if you love Muppets, there's fantastic stuff that you can get.
I know. Let's look at some of your merch there.
Okay,
come on, that's the good part of the show.
you got everything from Pez.
Yes, okay. I think I sent you those guys.
Yeah, to wonderful the vinyl pops.
Funko, yeah,
which is fantastic. Also you've got your Hallmark ornaments as well, which are great.
Oh, I didn't know they even did those.
So you sent me that one.
Oh, I mean, of course I know they did that one. No, but I don't think they do a whole line of them. I don't think it's like Star Wars where every year.
There is one with the Muppet Show logo that's just coming out. We've got Jigsaw Puzzles.
Oh, wow.
One of my favorites.
They had a board game?
The Muppet Show board game from Toy Toys.
Is this all from the 70s?
Yep, they're all from the 70s. This one's real. This is quite rare, and but it's great if you're interested in the Muppets. It's the making of the Muppet Show of
Muppets and Men. Oh, that's clever.
And it's
one would think it would be easy just to make replicas like kids could have at home. Didn't they ever make a bunch of the puppets? And oh yeah, look, there's Jim Henson.
Yep. So
no, but I'm saying, did they ever have, like, I was a kid, I had ventriloquist dummies. I had a Howdy Doody and something called Danny O'Day, and I kind of learned how to do the how's it going?
Yes, they Fisher. So Ralph that you saw today, he's from about 1976. So they made Miss Piggy, they made Kermit.
Oh, they did.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Which are great.
What about Fozzie Bear? I like him.
I've got all my Fozzie stuff's inside. I've got a lot of the Palisades figures. I picked this up the other day. A Muppet Show rubbish bin.
Yeah.
So, which was good, which I've never seen.
Now, is that very expensive, this Muppet stuff? I don't know how big a collecting. It's not like Star Wars.
That was $30, which seems okay. I picked up this Miss Piggy.
Oh, what's that in the middle of her chest?
That's where you put the coins.
Okay, it's a little racy.
Now,
what?
This company, it's from Japan, Sigma. They made the C-3PO.
The tape dispenser in his crotch?
Yep.
So those people, they're going to go to hell, those people.
The other thing as well is this one here, which is the Muppet Show soap.
Soap?
Yeah.
Oh.
There's a whole...
Was there ever a video game?
Yeah, there was a few. There was Muppet Kart Racing. There was there's been a few games you can get, cups and things.
It is your cup. What's the most expensive Muppet thing there is? Is there like action figure? Because I said to you before we went on the air, I'm lying when I say I don't have any, and he's not in the box because I have him over there. But this is my Muppets Indiana Jones.
Yep, Adventure Kermit.
Yeah, kind of like a takeoff. And they have other ones. I didn't realize that on the bottom. Did you know that?
Look, so I didn't bring any of mine here apart from
Oh,
Jim
what is this?
Henson.
This is the show. I just noticed this for the very first time tonight because you like we're doing the Muppets, and I'm like, I don't really have Muppet merchandise except for that. But is that all the characters from the show? Is that what that is?
Well, not all. That's part of the line. So Palisades brought out in the 2000s some Muppet
Is that
figures.
who made this?
Yep.
Oh yeah, I see Palisades. Yeah.
Yeah. So they made my Jim Henson figure there. They've made and the Kermit that I bought that you're sending over to me as well.
Yeah, my buddy Steve had that.
They made a whole line of Muppet Show figures. They made the Muppet. They made the Muppet Studios. They made the Pigs in Space set.
My friend Steve Barker, who sells toys, also being a police officer, I told you that because he was selling off all his toys, and he said that he had some kind of stage thing that looked like the TV show.
Backstage, they've got
the backstage. Yeah. That was the same company.
Yep, and they're Look, they're really great.
Is that hard to get?
They're not necessarily hard to get, but they're
no. I mean the
stage
thing. It sounds like it's big.
Oh, it is pretty big. I mean, it fits. Well, when you think they're 6-inch figures, they've got.
Oh, so is that what it was? It's like a big display, and you're supposed to put them there, or something like that. Oh, okay.
Great.
Now, how much was that when it came out? Sounds like
it must have been $100 or something, and now you can get it for a couple of $100.
Oh, okay.
Some of these figures, I've been trying to get a Janice figure from the band, and they go for like $130, $140. So they're quite expensive, and they're like modern.
Why is it? Because they didn't make a lot of them, or something?
I don't know. They're just a niche collectible, I guess. The US. Speaking about expensive collectibles, now I'm not sure if it was Masters Replicas or Gentle Giant. They brought out maybe 10 or so years ago Muppet photo figures. And they're life-size Muppets. Mm-hmm. They brought out, I'm pretty sure they brought out Kermit, Gonzo, and I'm going to say Animal, and they're photo puppets. So what photo Muppets are the Muppets that they would use for example, here. So they're all like in the poster behind you, where they're all wired and everything like that. So they can pose them for publicity photos and things like that. So they made exact replicas of those, the Muppets, life size, as it would be on the Muppet Show. I've always wondered,
how much are those things?
Thousands of dollars now.
Thousands of dollars, really?
Yep. It's like to the point where
would it be cheaper to make it yourself? I mean, I don't know.
Well, it could be like I've got some Kermits, that are pretty good, but even the Kermit version of these are going, certainly in Australia, they're going for, $60 to $100.
Oh, okay.
So they're not
crazy money.
They're not crazy, but
now the other thing I told you, I think I have somewhere, I can't find it, is the Star Wars mashups between the Muppets that they sold at the Disney parks, because I have Han Solo, but it's not Han Solo, it's the pig in space guy.
Yeah, or is it? Was Boba Fett? Was it Goofy? I remember they did Goofy as
no, they did do those. They did that, but they also did a whole line of the Muppets as Star Wars characters as well.
Oh yes, of course. Sorry, I'm thinking of that.
But you're right. They did do Goofy, and they did that. Was it Bully Bill or something? As Boba Fett, the big fat dog thing. They have those, but they also did a Muppet line of Star Wars action figures. I don't know if that's a big deal.
They did those as exclusives at the park where they did. I like those little mashups that they used to have.
So that's not around anymore. They don't do that.
I don't think so. When we were there last, there wasn't a lot of. I was disappointed that they didn't.
So the Muppet in Disney World, it's just off to the side now. It's like you go to Star Tour. It might be gone. I think it might be where the Rise of the Resistance is, because you used to go. Yeah, I think it's gone. You used to go down the road, and there was Indiana Jones, and there was Star Wars, Star Tours, and then you'd go down some stairs, and to the left, it was like a New York set, like a backdrop, and then there'd be a little plaza, and there was a pizza restaurant there called Pizza Planet, and then off to the right of that was the Muppets Theater, the Broadway Theater, and you'd go in, and that's where the Muppet 3D Vision ride was. I'm gonna say that's gone now.
Well, I
because
remember when
just
we were there last, there was a
That's
boards up for
Ride of the
the Star
Resistance.
Wars Land,
Yeah, I
and
think that's Star Wars Land now.
and it was, I was going, oh, but they did open up Rizzo the Rat. That's now the pizza restaurant, I believe, is Rizzo the Rat's.
Yeah, but I think the Honey I Shrunk the Kids Plaza's gone now.
Yeah, it's all gone. Our childhood's disappearing.
No, because I had my kids. They were little. I remember they'd go over there and play in the big giant.
Yeah, that's certainly gone now. But
well, that whole area in Ride of the Resistance used to be the Stunt Spectacular show. You used to go back then, they'd have like cars shows. And,
oh yes, I remember seeing that.
Yeah,
that
the cars jumping into fire and splitting in half and all that. Yeah, that's all gone now. So it's called Progress, Ed.
Is that what it is?
But I'm sorry, your Muppets are. What about the Muppet comic book? Because I know I don't have it here, but there's what they call an omnibus. I have tons of them here, and they collected all the Marvel comic. Was it Muppet Babies or Muppet Comics or something like that? And it's
there was a few. There was a few.
$30.
There was a few comics. They even brought one back in 1978. It was a book, sort of like the Muppet Show in comic form as well.
Yeah.
There's lots. If you are a Muppet collector, there's
Is there glasses? Is there drinking glasses?
There probably is. I don't have any.
You don't have that? You have all that stuff.
I used to have actually the Great Muppet Caper. I think back in the day in Australia, when you went to McDonald's, you could buy a glass when you there was a tie-in, I think. Unfortunately, that's lost. Let's see. I'm going to go on eBay now.
No, I'm just curious because it seems like everybody's got trading cards. There's certain things: trading cards, glasses, McDonald Land toys, or Happy Meal toys, and then it seems soup to nuts that they have everything, don't they?
They pretty much do. They pretty much do, and they're bringing out new they're bringing out the Dr. Teeth and Electric Mayhem action figure set with
they are
stage. Yeah, that I saw that they're bringing out. So there's lots of stuff still available. If you know where to find it, of course, eBay is your friend. It's also your enemy when it comes to paying top dollar, but that's okay. And maybe that's a chance for you to embrace your fears, Mitch.
My fear of Muppets. Yeah.
And we'll get you a giant. I think I'm going to have to find a Sweetums for you and send it to you for Christmas.
No, not again. It's been years. I can sleep through the night now. I'll just sit there with my little cow, my little.
That's
kind of like Muppet-like.
It's a
bat
bit.
cow. That's a Batman cow. It's chewing its little thing there.
It's Cud. Anyway.
It's Cud.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's been a look at the Muppets here on
It has.
Excellent Adventure. You wanted to get it out of your system.
I did.
And we did.
And certainly, let's give Muppets Now a chance and watch it when it comes on Disney Plus.
Which is probably any day this week, right?
Yeah, pretty soon. So if you enjoy it or you've got a special Muppet memory, put it in the comments. Did we get something wrong? Let us know. We probably did because we're just, off the cuff. We're just shooting the breeze. What's another whatever? Right. We're just making it up as we go, pretty much, with regards to that. Again, if you like the show, please subscribe, tell your friends, and we really appreciate you watching. We've got some good shows coming up, though, Mitch, in the future. We
do? Oh, yeah, we have. It's chock-a-block, full of great entertainment on its way to you.
It is. You have no idea.
So no changing when it's time to start rearranging, and we're not doing a Brady Bunch special. That's where that's from. When it's time to change, it's time to rearrange who you are and what you're gonna be. Sha-na-na-na-na-na-na.
There goes our copyright. I bet we're going to copyright strike.
You're supposed to go na-na-na-na-na-na-na. Oh, why are the bots listening to this right now?
That's right. Yeah, they
flag
are.
That show. Well, right. The way I sing, I'm sure
it does. It sounds exactly like the recording.
I sound like Eve Plum.
But yes, we've got some great stuff. I think in the future we've got Wonder Woman, we've got Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, we got Superman,
Buckaroo Banzai,
We've
got Wonder Woman, we've got name it. If it happened in pop culture, it's on the Mitch and Ed's Excellent Adventure. We just have to figure out where we're going next, Ed.
I know. That's it. That's That's the fun thing.
Maybe
That's
we'll
the
do
fun-
cartoons next.
Yeah, we could do that. I don't mind.
Have we done a cartoon show?
Not really. But why not? If you've got an idea, put it down below.
Come on.
All right. We'll see you soon. Signing off. This is Ed Dollister.
And this is Mitch. I'm not afraid as Muppets as I thought I was. Halleck.
That's good. And you've been watching Mitch and Ed's Excellent Adventure. See you next time.
It's my sock puppet. Bye.
Just when you think this show is terrible, something wonderful happens.
What?
It ends.